so let's talk about Scooby-Doo and the WWE, The Curse of the Speed Demon. Now, granted, I wasn't actually expected to kind of do this, but after watching Raw last night and seeing R-Truth kind of fight Scooby-Doo in a parking lot, I decided, why not? Let's give this thing a go. Now, granted, this movie is not as bad as I was kind of expecting it to be. Granted, the WrestleMania one was okay or decent, but it did kind of feel like it dragged on, and this one kind of feels like it has the same sort of problems. The thing about watching this movie, though, it just feels a little bit too outdated. Now, granted, I'm not talking about outdated like the references or whatever it may be. I'm talking about outdated to the clothing for some of these superstars, to the hairstyles. Now, granted, this probably filmed a while ago, whatever it may be, but then it just kind of comes across as lazy to the point where some of these animators can at least change some of these shits up. And then you have a couple of people that are on the roster, whatever it may be, but you have like Stardust and Goldust, they're together. Rest in peace, Dusty Rhodes. That was kind of a sad thing to see Dusty in like his last performance, I guess. But, you know, some of the things just kind of came across as just bad just in general and a little bit outdated for my taste just in general. Now, overall, the story is completely nonsense. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. They never really explain why this fucking race is going on and why WWE's doing this race. Except to kind of have another failed, you know, venture, just like the XFL for Vince McMahon. But for some reason, they kind of do it anyway. Now, overall, it's kind of an entertaining enough story, and the mystery is actually kind of good. I'll admit that the mystery actually did kind of have me stumped. I wasn't really sure who would be, you know, the villain or whatever it may be. So for that, I kind of give it that. It's just that when it kind of explain the shit, it just kind of doesn't really make any fucking sense. Now, Shaggy, Scooby-Doo, and the rest of the gang, they're all here. That's great. Now, granted, I understand that the clothing is kind of iconic, but let's be real here. At least try to up-to-date the Scooby Gang's clothes because they look like a couple of hippies in a Charlie Manson commune. I'm just saying that right now. I feel like they could have at least stepped it up. Now, granted, the voice acting in this thing is actually not that bad. I thought they was actually pretty good, some of them. Overall, just in general, like Lana Rusev, I thought they actually did pretty good. Vince McMahon actually did well. We've seen Camp WB. That actually worked out well. Now, granted, when they kind of seen these racing shits going on, they're not really anything spectacular, and they're kind of doing like a death race type deal for G rating, but a death race type thing. Granted, I would have honestly preferred this, right? Just, you know, actually, before I get to that, it felt more like a Hot Wheels commercial. It just felt like they were just kind of advertising big toys for the WWE, and I could already kind of see it. They could kind of take a lot of these toys and just be like, hey, look, it came from the movie. Here's a car. Boom. What I would have preferred if they actually would have just adapted Crush Hour. WWF Crush Hour. If you know what Crush Hour is, fucking congratulations, because you're a badass. Because Crush Hour is a pretty fucking awesome game. I'm not going to explain it. Just look it up. But it's a pretty cool game. But overall, I would have preferred if they would have done that just in general, but it is what it is. Some of the voicing that, as I said, they're good. Some of the people that are the worst, I thought Paige was shit. I thought Miz was awful. The animation, just in general, I feel like some of it, Sheamus was also a positive also, and Taker was actually quite funny seeing him kind of do his Taker thing, but in a very different type of like comedic tone. It was actually quite fun and good to see. But overall, like I said, I do feel like this thing just kind of feel like it does drag a bit. There's not really that much going for it. It is kind of funny. It's kind of charming. It's not too bad. It's not painful. But overall, it's really just nothing else really there. And then it just kind of, you know, is there, you know. But overall, yeah, it is what it is. The storyline is kind of shitty, like a porn star's boob job. But then again, you know, it is what it is. You can't really rant on a kid's movie. But let's just try to do something different. I would prefer WWE try to do their own thing instead of kind of dragging Scooby and the rest of the gang. I'm just wondering, did they kind of drug... did Shaggy and Scooby-Doo kind of pass the drug test? That's what I'm just trying to wondering. Because if you know anything about Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't have passed the drug test to kind of be in this race. But that's just my thought just in general. It's a decent enough movie for kids. If you're a grown adult like me and kind of older, then you might be like, what is this? This is just nothing. But it's not as bad as far as I'm concerned. But that's my thought. Comment, subscribe, and like if you actually enjoyed this review. You can help me out by subscribing. That's me. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing out.